Hello, everybody. Hi, and welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'll give us all a little bit to get started. But while we're all logging in, if you could just write in the chat where you are from, where are you calling from today? That would be great. My name is Tutor Nicole, and I'm from the United States. Can you type in the chat, where are you from? Maybe you could also type in the chat what you will be doing today. Today I will be cooking for Thanksgiving. We have a Thanksgiving dinner tonight. What are you doing today and where are you from? Hello from Russia, Romania, Brazil. Hi, Canada. Hello, Russia and India. Wonderful. Hello from South Korea, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Somalia. Hi from Sri Lanka and Canada, Ukraine. Hello from Japan and Singapore, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, from Haiti. Wow, we are calling in from all over today. This is awesome. Again, my name is Tutor Nicole. I'm from the United States, and today I will be cooking for Thanksgiving. What are you doing today, and where are you from? Hi from Italy, Pakistan, Thailand. Hi, students. Hi from Malaysia, Bangladesh, Indonesia. Wow. Hello, hello. Hi from Finland and Tokyo. I'm great today. Thank you for asking. How are you? Today you'll be baking a big chocolate cake. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, students. My name is Tutor Nicole, and today we're going to be talking all about cooking. I chose to talk about this topic today because we have a very special holiday coming up here in the United States, and that is Thanksgiving. And so I thought that it would be neat if we could practice some of our cooking vocabulary. By the end of this lesson, we will be able to describe the taste of certain foods, and we will also know how to make our own recipe. So up here on my right, you'll see that I have a recipe on how to make mashed potatoes. And at the end of the lesson, you can make your own recipe about your favorite dish. So that's what we're doing today. You'll see throughout the lesson, I have some common verbs, adjectives, and nouns that are helpful when talking about cooking. So if you ever need reference, here I have an example recipe, and here I have some common vocabulary. All right, are we ready to get started? I think so. Okay, so again, today we're learning all about cooking. Okay, the first thing we're gonna learn about is some important verbs. Okay, I'm gonna adjust my lighting here for a second. Okay, so all about verbs. The first verb is to cook. All right, the gerund is cooking. So to cook is to prepare food for a meal. While I go through these verbs, I want you to practice using them. So if the verb is to cook, I want you to write a sentence using the verb cook. For example, today I will cook my Thanksgiving meal. Okay, so just type in the chat and practice using cook. Okay, you could use it in past tense, present tense, or future. I said will cook. Okay, and I will read some of your sentences for some examples. My father cooked delicious dishes for me today. I am also cooking today, but not for Thanksgiving. Okay, very cool. Awesome. Okay. Our next vocab word is to boil. This is when you heat something up with water. Normally, for example, you boil pasta or you can boil vegetables. I boil potatoes. Okay. So use boil in a sentence. Okay. For example, I boil my pasta for 5 minutes. Okay. Or you could say, first, you have to boil the water. Awesome. Okay. And I'm loving the examples coming in. I like this one. It says, I boiled eggs for lunch. A lot of time you take an egg and you can boil it and it becomes hard. Awesome. This one's a funny one. While studying, my head is going to boil. Yeah, boiling potatoes takes about 20 minutes. Awesome. So again, this is normally things you do with water. You boil things with water. Okay. The next one is to bake. This is normally things like cakes, maybe a lasagna. You bake a lasagna. You can bake bread. But this is to cook something in the oven. Okay. And the oven is the little box that gets hot. So, for example, today I am going to bake a casserole and a cake. I bake my own pizza. Awesome. Okay. I like to bake cakes. Nice. Very good. Okay. Our next verb is to grill. Okay. This is to cook food directly near a hot flame. So here where I live, I have a grill outside of my house, and I'll come out with maybe a steak and I will just cook it right above the flame. You can also grill things on the stove. For example, I grill chicken on my stove. Okay. I like to grill potatoes and tomatoes, grilled chicken. So you can also say like grilled chicken if it's been grilled. Awesome. There's apparently a good grilled pork in South Korea. A lot of people grill fish. Wonderful. Okay. The next one is to melt. Okay, so this is when you turn a solid into a liquid. My example is when you melt butter. Okay, so it's solid and then you heat it up normally in the microwave or on the stove, and then it becomes a liquid. Okay, so this is to melt. For example, I melt chocolate in the microwave and then I pour it over the cake. Okay, very cool. Nice work. Our next verb is to peel. What are some foods that you peel? This is when you cut the skin off of a fruit or a vegetable. So, for example, corn, you really have to peel the corn. Okay, you can peel apples or potatoes. I peel onions a lot. Okay, so what do you peel? Someone hates peeling potatoes. Yeah, sometimes peeling can be hard. Peel cucumbers. Oh yeah, we peel bananas and oranges. Okay, very good. Our next word is to mix. Okay, this is to combine two or more ingredients together. So, an example I like to use with mix is when making a cake, I mix flour and eggs and milk and sugar. I mix it real good, and then it becomes a batter. And then we take the mixture and we put it in the oven. Okay, so you can mix a lot of things. Yeah, so mix ingredients. Our next word is to serve. This is when you bring a dish or a meal to the table. Okay, when you go to a restaurant, the people who bring your food are called servers. Servers. And they come to serve the food. Okay, so we have servers that serve the food. To chop is another way to say to cut. Okay, so if you have a knife, you normally chop like this. Okay, chop, 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 chop. This is chopping vegetables. It could be chopping really anything. Okay, so it's normally cutting, but faster. Chop. Okay. All right, so how do we feel about our verbs? Good? Again, if you need to look at the verb list, I have one right here. The next thing we're going to move on to is common cooking nouns. Okay, so nouns are things like dish, herb, ingredient, recipe. Okay, these are some nouns. I do have one question. What is the difference between mix and stir? They both do the same thing. You're mixing, you're stirring, but mixing is when you take two ingredients or more and you blend it together. Stirring could be just one ingredient. Okay, so stirring is the same thing as mixing, but it could just be one ingredient versus mixing could be a lot of ingredients. Okay, Eleonora, I hope that helped. All right. So our first noun is a cook. Okay, so cooking, a cook is the person who cooks the meal. When you go to a restaurant, normally it's the cook who makes your food. You could be a cook, right? So let's use cook in an example. For example, today I am a cook. I am cooking 2 dishes for my Thanksgiving. Lovely, very good. Our next word is a dish. You'll see it right up here. A dish is the finished meal after cooking food, okay? So you have your food, and then after you cook it, it becomes a dish. Okay, so the finished meal is a dish. So for example, today I'm going to Thanksgiving at my dad's house, and I am bringing 2 dishes. The first dish is a corn souffle, and the second dish is green bean casserole. Okay, so that's what a dish is. Okay. Next word we have is herb. Okay. Here in America, we don't really pronounce the H in herb. We don't say herb. We normally say herb, like that. Herb. This is an ingredient used to spice up dishes. I actually have an example for you today. Okay, this is an herb. This is parsley. Okay. Herbs could be basil or they could be cilantro. A lot of the times I grow my own herbs and then I chop them and put them in my dishes. Okay, so that's an herb. Okay. The next one is an ingredient. Okay. An ingredient is a component of a dish. So something that you can eat, and it's a component of a dish. So it's put into a dish. So, for example, the ingredients used to make a pizza are flour, cheese, and sauce. Okay, so these are ingredients. Here, I have a bowl of many ingredients. Okay, so these are all ingredients. Okay. Napa, you got me into the next word. Thank you. Recipe. A recipe is an instruction that helps you cook a dish. This is a recipe. Normally it says step 1, preheat the oven to 10 to 400 degrees. Okay. Peel 10 potatoes, and it goes on and on. So a recipe is what you follow to make a dish. Okay? The next word is pan. Okay, guys, this is a pan. What are some things you could cook in a pan? For example, I cook onions in a pan. I cook eggs in a pan. What else? What would you cook in a pan? Maybe I use a pan to cook a quesadilla, pancakes. Awesome. I love pancakes too. Yes. Very good. Our next noun is an oven. So normally you have your stove, and underneath you have your oven. An oven is like the box, and it gets hot, and it cooks and heats up food. It's normally the shape of a box. Okay. So normally you preheat your oven to a high temperature, and then you can open it, slide your dish in, and cook it. Today, I will be using my oven to cook my corn souffle. Okay, on top of that oven is a stove. Normally, you use your stove and your pan goes on top of the stove. Okay, so this is typically on top of an oven, and it's used to cook food with either fire or electric. Okay. All right. Now we're going to get into the fun part. I at least think this is the fun part, and it is the adjectives. So we're going to be able to describe our foods. Okay. So for example, you'll see the list up here. Something that is sour. You normally make this face. You're like, that's sour. That would be like a lemon or a lime. Okay. So while we do this and I share with you the definitions, if you could type in the chat a food that represents or describes that adjective. So for example, the word bitter. Normally you're like this when something's bitter. This is having a strong and often unpleasant taste. Okay, so my example was either coffee or dark chocolate. So type in the chat, what is another food that is bitter? Okay, I said coffee and dark chocolate, but what do you think is bitter? Okay, maybe a grapefruit is kind of bitter. You're like, it's a little bitter. Yeah, grapefruit. Okay, some of us are saying lemon. Lemon tends to be sour, okay? Lemon is sour. Bitter is something like coffee, okay? Okay, maybe some black pepper, okay? Very good. Okay. The next one, my favorite one, is sweet. Okay. This usually tastes like sugar. So a sweet would be apples or cookies. Okay. Today I brought a sweet for you, a chocolate bar. Okay. I would describe this chocolate as being very sweet. Okay. What do you think is sweet? Do you think that an apple is sweet? A donut? Yes. Banana bread is sweet. Chocolate? A donut? Honey? Okay. Maybe some honey could be sweet. A cake is sweet. Dates. Yes, Ruba. Dates are very sweet. Ice cream, I think, is very sweet. Speaking of ice cream, type in the chat, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? I really like peanut butter and chocolate ice cream. What's your favorite ice cream? Candy is very sweet. Whipped cream. Very cool. I love to see our different flavors of ice cream. I see a lot of strawberry and vanilla. Chocolate mint is really good. Macaroons. I love that. Very cool, everybody. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, sweet is my favorite. The next one is sour. Okay, so this is having a sharp taste. My example of sour was lemon or lime. You could also say maybe grapefruit. What else is sour? Type in the chat, what is sour? Okay, what is sour? Lemons are very sour, yes. Kiwi, yeah, kiwi can be sour. I haven't heard of coriander, but that sounds good. Grapefruit is sour, kiwi. Great examples, okay? Do you like sour food? Type in the chat. Do you like sour food? Yeah, sour means acidic. Okay, normally when it has a lot of acid, it is sour. Yeah. Do you prefer sweet or sour? I prefer sweet too. There's also sour candy. For example, like sour gummy worms. Those are pretty tasty. Vinegar is sour, yes. Awesome. Okay. The next one, and this is probably my favorite, so sweet and crunchy. Um, Crunchy is when it's really firm and it makes a loud noise when you eat it. Okay, so example, chips, they're crunchy. Popcorn and bread are crunchy. I think that maybe an onion is crunchy. If you bite into it, it makes a lot of sound. Crunchy. See the crunch? Okay. What else is crunchy? Maybe cereal. An apple is crunchy. Ah, someone said crunchy peanut butter. Yes. What else is crunchy? Crunchy biscuits, fritters. Carrots are pretty crunchy. Cabbage is crunchy. Yes. French fries. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. Our next word is salty. Do you like salty foods? It's the taste of salt. Okay, the little white flakes, salt. Something that I think tends to be salty is soy sauce, chips, and pretzels. Okay, what are some other things that are salty? Popcorn is salty. Maybe steak. Steak can be salty. Do you like salty food? I like a little bit of salty food, but not a lot of salt. Sometimes if it's too salty, it could be bad for you, right? Yeah, salt isn't great for your health. Yeah, okay. Good job, guys. The next one is kind of interesting. Rich. Normally, you know the word rich as having a lot of money, but it can also mean having a lot of butter, cream, or eggs. So, for example, something that is rich, you kind of go like your normal reaction for rich is like, hmm, like it's normally a good reaction. A milkshake or brownies are rich because they have a lot of cream and butter. I think that peanut butter is pretty rich, right? What else is rich? Maybe cake. Yeah, cake can be rich. Good. Smoothies are a little rich. Cheesecake is very rich. Yes, Romelia. Normally, foods that are rich tend to be high in calorie and fat, right? Okay, very good. Okay. The next one is savory. So something the opposite of sweet. Okay, so you have sweet and you have savory. Normally, whenever I eat something savory, afterwards I eat something sweet. Okay. So an example of something savory would be bread. Maybe pizza is savory. Okay, so it's the opposite of sweet. Breadsticks are a great example of savory. Okay. Do you prefer savory or sweet? They're kind of two different adjectives. Savory or sweet? Yeah, a sandwich tends to be savory. Good. Okay. The last adjective we are going to discuss is bland. This is when something does not have a lot of flavor. Okay, so if it has a lot of flavor, you would say that it's bold. Okay, bold. But if it's without any flavor, you can say bland. Normally, if you have pasta, just normal pasta with no sauce, that would be bland. Okay. If you eat broccoli without cooking it, bland. Um, if you just eat a potato like that, bland, right? It doesn't have a lot of flavor. So what do you think is bland? Okay, Malaya said that some fruits have bland taste. Like, for example, I think that melon is pretty bland. I don't taste a lot of flavor. Maybe an avocado is bland. Just boiled white rice with nothing else is very bland. Tofu is bland if you don't put more stuff on it. Quinoa, milk. Yeah, just not a lot of flavor. Do you prefer bland foods or bold foods? I think I prefer bold foods. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Bold tends to taste a little better. Bold foods. Awesome. Okay. Now we're gonna have like a little quiz. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and if you can just type in the chat your answer, that would be great. Okay. So fill in the blank. Ready? My cousin used to eat lemons for breakfast. I think they're too blank. Okay. All right. I see a lot of us are putting sour. Yeah. You could put sour or bitter. You could also say acidic. Okay, so sour, bitter, or acidic. Would you like to eat lemons for breakfast or no? I have a friend. My friend eats lemons for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like this. Yes. Good job. No lemons for breakfast. Good job. Okay. Number 2. I don't like, so we didn't learn this yet, but dry or moist. So dry is when there's not a lot of liquid. Moist is when there's liquid in your food. Okay. So I don't like blank food. I always add sauces. Okay. So what food would you not like if you always have to add sauce? Okay. Right. You probably wouldn't like dry food if every time you get dry food, you have to add sauce. Good. Okay. The second one, yuck. The third one, yuck. This soup is way too blank. Would it be tasty or salty? Yuck. This soup is way too salty. Good. The answer is salty. Right. Because if it was too tasty, you probably wouldn't say yuck. Okay? Fill in this blank, okay? I love blank food like cookies, chocolate, and cake. What kind of food would you love if you like cookies, chocolate, and cake? Okay? You could say rich or you could say sweet. Awesome. Okay? Good. Okay, the next one, number 5. Potato chips and pizza crust are very blank. Nutty, by the way, this would be nutty, tastes like a nut, or crunchy. Potato chips and pizza crust are very crunchy. Awesome job, it's crunchy. Speaking of which, I have a question. Pizza crust, okay, so you have your pizza slice, and at the top, it's just the bread is the crust, okay? Do you eat the crust or do you not eat the crust? When you're eating pizza, do you eat the whole pizza or do you leave the crust? I tend to eat the whole pizza because I like crunchy. Okay, but a lot of people don't eat the crust. Yeah. Awesome. That's interesting. And normally you can take the crust, and if it's too dry, you can make it moist. You can dip it in a sauce. That could be a good way to eat the crust. Ah, Harry, in your country, you put cheese inside the crust. That sounds good. Awesome. Okay. So the next one, you're gonna have to write like the number 1, 2, and 3 in the chat. But can you please describe chips, salad, and bread? What adjective would you use to describe chips, salad, and bread? Okay. Chips, salad, and bread. How could you describe them? Okay, you could say salty. Think about the noise you make when you eat these foods, chips, salad, and bread. Okay, yeah, I would probably say crunchy. Crunchy. Yeah, it's also very tasty. Good. Number two, how would you describe chocolate or ice cream? Chocolate or ice cream? Okay. You could say sweet, awesome, or rich. Very good. Okay, last one. How would you describe limes, grapefruit, or some candy? So, what's your answer to number three? Limes, grapefruit, and some candy. Yeah, acidic, bitter, or sour. Good. Awesome. Okay. Um, Now, could you give me some examples of food to describe bitter? Okay, so type in the chat, what are some foods that are bitter? Okay, my example is coffee. What is bitter? Dark chocolate is bitter. Good. Maybe a bitter gourd. Okay. Black pepper is bitter. Lovely. Okay, maybe an onion is a little bitter. Okay. Now, what is sweet? Give me an example of sweet. Lozenges, cranberries, chocolate, ice cream, cake, more chocolate, cookies. Awesome. Okay. Give me an example of savory. Number three. What is savory? What is savory? Pizza. Good. Bread. Maybe. Savory. Fish. Cheese is savory. Fries, potatoes. Awesome. Okay, and last one. Give me an example of something that is salty. Okay, so number four, give me an example of something salty. I said steak. A lot of meats, I think, are salty. Salt water is salty, yes. Chips, popcorn, crisps, cod. Lovely, lovely. Ramen noodles. Bacon is salty. Good job. Okay. Now, the last part, I have a few food items here in front of me, and all I want you to do is to describe the food, okay? So if I were to hold up this red pepper, how could you describe this red pepper? Maybe you could say that it's an ingredient to make a curry. Maybe you could describe it as crunchy. When you bite, it's crunchy. I think that it's a little bitter, maybe bland, spicy. Good. Okay. Awesome. How would you describe an onion? A raw onion. That raw means not cooked. How would you describe a raw onion? Bitter. Okay. Crunchy, very crunchy. You can hear the crunch, right? What can you do with an onion? What's a verb you could do with an onion? Could you peel the onion, boil the onion? You could fry an onion. You think onions are smelly. Has anyone ever chopped an onion and you start crying? When I chop onions, I cry. Does that happen to you? Very good. Yeah. It makes me cry too. Yeah, you could grill the onion. Good. Okay. How would you describe an apple? This is my favorite apple. This is a Honey Crisp apple. How would you describe the apple? Sweet, crunchy, healthy. Yes, that's a word we didn't learn, but healthy. A common phrase that we say here in America is an apple a day makes the doctor go away, I believe. So if you eat more apples, you don't have to go to the doctor because they're healthy. Okay? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's what it is. Yes. Thank you. How would you describe this lemon ginger tuna? A lemon ginger tuna. How would you describe it? Tasty, acidic. Good. Maybe sour, spicy? Sour? Okay. Yeah. Do you think that this would be tasty? Lemon ginger tuna? A lot of flavor. Maybe you could say it's bold, not bland. This is a caramel. How would you describe a caramel? A caramel. Chewy, sweet. Okay, good. Let's do one more. How could you describe honey? Is honey dry or is it moist? Is it sweet? Is it savory? Ah, someone said thick. Yes, honey is very thick. Okay. It's a thick liquid. Sticky, sweet. Yeah. I like to put honey in my tea because without it, my tea is bland. But with the honey, it is delicious and sweet. Good. Okay. Now, um, for the last activity, I would like us to write our own recipe. Maybe you do this right now in the chat. Maybe you write this down. But I'd love for us to practice our verbs and our nouns and our adjectives when cooking. And we could write our own recipe. Okay? Some ideas of writing our own recipe are maybe how to bake a bread, how to fry an egg, or how to cook a steak. Okay, so we can use nouns. Maybe we use a pan and an oven to cook a steak. We wait until the steak is nice and rich, right? We add butter until it is rich. I have an example of a recipe up here. You could take a picture of it or you could write it down. But in our free time or here at the end of the live, if you could just take some time to practice writing a recipe, that would be great. So normally when we write a recipe, we start with step 1, step 2, all the way down to the last step. And it's really simple. So for the first thing on how to make mashed potatoes, that's like mixed potatoes, right? You would peel 10 potatoes. Okay, step 2 is you would boil the potatoes on the stove for 20 minutes. Okay. Next, you would drain the water from the pot and place the potatoes in a large bowl. Okay, so we would place the potatoes right in here. And we would take a spoon, okay, and you would mash the potatoes like this. Okay, and then you're gonna stir and blend it until it is smooth. Then you will melt 2 sticks of butter. Okay, I like to melt my sticks of butter in something like this. And then you will pour the butter in the pot, in the bowl. And then you will mix, because it's more than 2 ingredients, you mix it together, okay? And then at the end, you could add herbs and salt and serve when warm. Okay, so this is just my example of how to write a recipe. If you want to type in the chat, feel free. If you want to practice this later on, that's a great idea too. I see a lot of us are already practicing, and I love the different steps that we've put. I will go ahead and leave this open if you have any questions. The live is close to being over, so just type in the chat if you have any questions. Yes, you can ask me any question about cooking or about English before I end the live. But while I'm waiting for those questions to come in, I did want to come on here and tell you about a discount that we have. So you can get up to 36% off of yearly subscriptions on Cambly. All you have to do is either click the link below or go to Cambly and type in the code GO LIVE. Okay? Go live. If you are new to Cambly, you don't know what it is, this is an online English learning platform where you get paired with native English speakers to help improve your English. And if you came late to the live, don't you worry, because after this ends, the whole entire live will be posted on the Cambly YouTube channel. Do we have any questions? So I don't have a PDF of the vocabulary, but I can step back and you could take a picture of the vocabulary if you would like, but I do not have a PDF. So I do apologize. What else do we have here? Okay, no more big questions. Well, thank you so much for joining the live today. You guys did awesome. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun with you guys. And so please, we'll be here every single Sunday with our Cambly Live. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you have a great day. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great day. I hope you have some yummy, tasty food today. Okay. All right, I will see you guys next Sunday. Bye. I love these examples. Bye, guys. Have a good day. Bye. See you later.